Out of all the genres of metal, I find death metal to be the one people are least likely to get into first. Sure, at their peak, the big bands were selling heaps of records and rocking on MTV, but like going to a remote region of South America, you probably got there with a layover in another genre. So, I guess today, welcome aboard Air Metal Comedy. This is your captain speaking. I'll get you to your destination, but it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Is death metal music just hype or something that could actually hurt your kids?
So, what is the history of death metal? Well, very briefly, the genre sort of blossomed out of thrash with some debate around the first album, but most people agree it is Seven Churches by Possessed. While it would retain some elements of thrash, it was the first album to start and crystallize that death metal sound. But what is that death metal sound? Well, if black metal is a blade, death metal is a hammer. It is a blunt style of music. It is designed to pummel you. While both genres feature blast beats, death metal puts the blast beats up front, hitting you in the chest with them.
Black metal vocals are up here.
Death metal vocals are down here.
And down there with the vocals are also all the instruments. They're tuned down to smash. This is music for the Hulk. But what is the quintessential death metal band? The band that defines the sound? Well, in this genre, it's actually a pretty tricky question because there are a lot of monoliths. There is Death. I mean, their name is the name of the genre. Morbid Angel, a massive band creating amazing music all over America. But there is a distinction I need to talk about, and that's between the American and the European sound. There are sort of two main camps in death metal, and given that my neck is not, in fact, wider than my head, I obviously fall on the Eurotrash side of the line. And for me, European death metal, the band that just rises to the top, is Entombed with their album Left Hand Path. Not only did they take that death metal sound and really crystallize it, they added a touch, which is their now legendary buzzsaw guitar tone, and it's just the perfect complement to that hammer. A buzzsaw on the arm of an orc dreadnought just smashing its way through the record. Let's have a listen.
I did my fucking in the water in love. Of your important redeemer. And right for it thoughts around. The true priest of evil.
So that's what death metal sounds like. But as I said, that can be a hard first listen. So how do we get new fans into the genre? Well, a gateway that's been open and just funneling people in for years is the genre melodic death metal, or melodeath for short. Basically, it takes that trademark death metal sound and tosses in some heavy metal, some catchy tunes. Now, as a result of them being catchy, some death metal purists will snub the genre, but the thing you need to realize about death metal purists is a lot of them come from Florida, so do not hand feed. If you need proof to see how great this genre is at getting new fans into metal, go to an Amon Amarth show and have a blast with a bunch of teens in plastic armor having the times of their life. Go be awed just the sheer scale of the crowds that Arch Enemy can draw. But the band I think that best gets new fans into the genre is one of the ones that created the genre. It's At the Gates. Now, a Cannibal Corpse fan might tell you that At the Gates set out to make a commercial record and ruined modern metal for all time, unlike true death metal bands who never do anything for money. But the reality is, they released this record and then broke up shortly after, and it took time for us all to realize what a masterpiece it was. It's one of the best records of all time. It's At the Gates, Slaughter of the Soul. what a great album. Someone should make a documentary about that.
It was really just a record that was passed around by kids. No one ever thought that would have the influence that it's proven to have.
It wasn't a huge record, but everybody knew about it.
But maybe you're coming from a different area of metal. How do you get into death metal? Well, might I suggest death doom. It's a genre that combines death and doom. Duh. But I frequently find it's closer to doom, so why am I talking about it in the death metal episode? Well, that's because it makes for good getting people into death because it's more doom. If you like doom, this is a nice way to experiment. You get the slow tempos of doom, but then occasionally you ramp up and you get some of that death metal brutality. While there are a ton of bands with an immense variety that do this great, Swallow the Sun, Winter, Asphyx, Eternal Rot, you know the band I am going to mention here. It's
Hooded Menace, Hooded Menace, Hooded Menace, Hooded Menace, Hooded Menace, Hooded Menace.
Yes, it's Hooded Menace. In my defense, though, I don't suggest them just because they're my favorite band. The thing that's remarkable about Hooded Menace is they are able to perfectly balance the line between death and doom.
Yeah,
Now, some of you might be in the process of drafting a furious YouTube comment about how I'm snubbing the band Death. I've barely talked about the band Death, but that's because I was saving them for here, for right now. What I believe the band Death and the singular entity that is Chuck, their greatest contribution to metal was opening up a genre that was quickly walling itself off. They didn't define the death metal sound, they broke the death metal sound and created the great world that is technical and progressive death metal. Now, technical and progressive death metal are both genres in their own right, I know. We only have so much time. I'm jamming them together. They frequently jam themselves together anyways. Basically, this is a genre if you want to hear a death metal song with a virtuoso musician going ham over it. It's a great genre if you went to art school. Asterix cough, Asterix Dylan, Asterix cough, Asterix. We've talked about Rivers of Nile almost endlessly on this channel, but if you want to listen to the modern masters of the genre, I really can't think of a better band than Obscura, especially on their album Acroasis. Just, wow. Thus, we come to our last genre and how to get into. And this genre is less meant to get new fans into the genre so much as have old fans experiment within the murky depths. And there's no better way to do that than with war metal. So technically, war metal probably would have been in the black metal episode, but we didn't have time, it was a pilot. I'm calling it audible, I'm putting it here because it's Black and Death, and that counts. Death is in there. It's my show, too bad. So, what is war metal? Well, it almost seems like a myth, a secret genre or a lie detector to figure out posers in the scene. You like war metal? Yeah, I made that up. But no, it is a downright micro-genre that takes the most punishing parts of black metal and the most punishing parts of death metal and puts it together to make absolute, unlistenable chaos. It's also Canadian, with its shining example being Blasphemy. Aww. But if you're looking for a way in, a cryptic solo act released an album last year that simultaneously was all the punishment of war metal, but somehow slightly more listenable, it's Cult of Extinction, Ritual in the absolute absence of light. Get punished. So I hope I helped you figure out how to get into death metal. But hey, there's a comment section. Let me know, what was the first death metal band that caused you to fall in love with the genre? What are the staples, the hallmarks? What did I miss? What did I screw up? I'm Blaine Smith. Thanks for coming out.